Hey everyone, this week I am taking a look at a couple more hype beasts and I'm going to give you my first impressions. Stay tuned. Man, I set up 2 yellow jacket traps in advance of this week's recording and still getting harassed by the little suckers. Okay, so I think the last time I did this, I was talking about a website called Scent Rush. I really like them a lot. I had a great service with them. I will absolutely be giving them more of my business. I'd heard about another one recently from Grimsense, his YouTube channel, and it's called Sprays 4 Days, the number 4 days. And I went to their website to take a look, and they actually had a handful of things that I had wanted to go after. So I ordered from them, got the package a couple days later, pretty fast shipping. And the prices were, I think, really fair. So obviously when you're doing this, you'll find different decant sites, and it seems like everyone has a slightly different selection, usually pretty good selection, but a little bit different. So some of the fragrances that I've wanted, I haven't really found them on different decant sites, or it was more money than I wanted to pay for some of the bigger decant sites. So I was excited to find them here. So I'm going to talk about them. A couple of them are legitimately like really popular fragrances right now that I've somehow not smelled. I will say in my defense, I moved last year, and where I live now, I don't have quick access to like a Nordstrom's, or when I was up north, more in the Seattle area, there's also a Louis Vuitton store up there, there's an Hermes store up there, so it's just a lot easier to go smell stuff or get samples at the time than I can right now. But making up for that by getting some of these decants and just smelling some stuff that I've wanted to for a long time. The first one of those is Roja Parfums Midsummer Dream. This one just intrigued me because of the name. I've always been curious, and I wanted to smell more stuff outside of the sample discovery set that you get from Roja Parfums. So I've done that here and there, but this is like one of the first major ones. And I will say this is not a first impression. This is the only one of them that I have already smelled, partially because I knew first impressions weren't going to be enough, and that's still kind of the case, but I feel like I have something to talk about with this one. One of the things about many of the fragrances I smell from Roja Parfums is that they always give me a vibe of like old money, and I think that's partially because I feel like that is the market that they're trying to cater to, are richer, older people. And the reason I say that is because with the amount of naturals that the house uses, their fragrances can have a tendency to smell, I want to say old, but they can smell more vintage because they're doing that in a way that a lot of modern fragrances aren't. They're using a lot of like almost purely synthetics. So it's to their credit that they're using more of those naturals. But again, when you're using all of the naturals, that means all of the scent molecules are coming in. You're not picking and choosing which ones to try and craft like a perfect rose or something like that. You're getting everything. And that's totally fine. It's just a different style. But the thing that I think that the house does really well is it uses those classic formulations and classic oils and things like that, but still makes them somehow smell modern, uses enough modern perfumery and molecules in order to reach that spot. And this fits the bill. For A Midsummer's Dream, I just kind of thought on like the face of it would maybe be a little bit more feminine, but I actually think that this is a really good summertime men's scent. This is more on the powdery spectrum, but it's not like a choking powder. I'm pretty sensitive to powdery notes. This doesn't knock me over in terms of that, but there's a lot else going on, and this is where it gets kind of difficult because of the kind of vintage thing for me. Whenever I smell something that has a lot of naturals, I feel like I've smelled it before. Not because I've smelled that exact fragrance, but just because I've been smelling stuff my entire life, even if I haven't been like filming it for YouTube. Any chance that I get to stick my nose on any perfume, I would do it typically my whole life. So a lot of classic vintage fragrances from the 80s, 90s and stuff. And we used to go antique shopping with my parents a lot whenever we'd go on like vacation. So I'd get a smell of stuff in there, because typically if you go into a antique store, you might find some older fragrances, funny enough. And this one's difficult for me to talk about because I know the concept is meant to be exactly that, a midsummer's dream, but I don't know, it smells professional to me, but it smells light, You know, it's kind of soft. It's got a kind of little bit of a sweetness to it, but not like a super sugary sweetness. Just kind of like there, giving it a little bit of an easy time going down. You know what I mean? There's the citruses, but like it's hard for me to get away from that classic vintage smell that's in there. But I will say I wore this yesterday. I found it to be quite pleasant, which was a surprise to me because, again, typically not a huge fan of powdery scents, but this is like powdery, and then I think there's just some citruses in there that give it some brightness, and then I think it's got like a bunch of herbs and stuff like that. I mean, there's a million notes in Roja fragrances, and I haven't looked at the notes for these, but I kind of get that, like a citrusy, powdery, herbaceous fragrance, very aromatic. Good for summertime. This is gonna be something that when it heats up, it's gonna be nice, it's gonna be clean and refreshing, not in like a watery way, but just kind of in a clean, soapy without smelling like soap, if that makes any sense. Anyway, that's pretty good. So wearing Midsummer's Dream a couple times, I like it. I need to spend more time with it, I feel like, in order to like reach for it more, because it's not my vibe, but I feel like it's a gateway into stuff that I don't normally go for with the powdery thing. And then it's just kind of like this, it does feel masculine to me, I don't know why, but it just kind of has the vibe to it. Feels like, again, old money. That's the best description. Okay, next up is one that I have had my eye on for a while just because of the hunt that I'm on. If you've watched any of my videos that have fragrances that have anything to do with weed or skunk, I'm kind of on a hunt to see if anyone has made one that's really got that skunk thing going on. I think there are some fair representations of cannabis that have been made, but it usually comes in the form of like already smoked. And so I want to just see if anyone's doing anything with that real green, skunky sort of smell. Felt like something was going inside my ear there. So this is Bois 1920. I think it's Bois. Could be, I know there's one that's like Bois, but I think Bois is the French word for trees, I think. So I could be wrong. Forgive me if I'm getting it wrong and it's Bois, but I think it's Bois. Bois 1920 Cannabis. They had a series that came out that was centered around cannabis. They have like 3. It's like Cannabis Dolce. I can't remember what the other one is, but this is the one that was available from Sprays for Days, so this is the one that I got. And yeah, so let's check it out. Okay. I feel like first impressions is that this is actually, man, this one's really nice. This is akin to the Rammstein fragrance that I have that's got like grapefruit and cannabis. Like it's got, man, this one's really good. This one's really good. This is more on that end of the spectrum. This is not on the incensey, smoky sort of end of the spectrum. This seems very green, very fresh. I like this a lot. Yeah, this is really outstanding. This is right up my alley. Kind of a bit of sourness going on with this too. This is maybe the closest out of all of the different cannabis scented fragrances that I've been able to get my nose on. This one feels the closest. Even maybe like a little bit of cumin hidden in the background there, maybe. That gives it, yeah, this one's really interesting. There is something in there that's a little bit oily. Man, what a killer scent. This is really great. I'm gonna wear this while we still got a little bit of summer left because this feels like something that'll be really nice for the time, like while it's still hot. But I really, really like that a lot. This is really good. So it is Bois. It is Boise or Bois. Bois. I think Bois is the pronunciation I found, not Bois. This is absolutely an absolute banger. I'm going to get this and as many from the line as I can because I'm super curious and interested. This is so good though. This is right up my alley. It's different without being weird, or it's weird while still being wearable. It's fascinating. I love it. It hits the right notes. Fresh, green, so good, so good. I might have to get a full bottle of that. Okay, we're gonna use that one to transition into another long time thing that I've wanted to smell. I actually was just kind of hunting for this one for a while on discounters, but wasn't able to find it anywhere. It's been out of stock for a while, or it came back in. I wasn't able to get it. It was gone really quick. And that is Psychadelique from Javoy. This one is more about patchouli, I believe. And I love patchouli. It's one of those, like my first obsession with patchouli came when I didn't realize that it was patchouli. I just smelled it on this really pretty girl, and it was just kind of this peppery note that was super engaging and pretty fascinating. A really spicy version of patchouli. I think it's just patchouli oil. And it wasn't for months after that that I found out that that's what it was, but it kind of started that obsession. So this is interesting. It smells interesting. Okay, so it's not as like patchouli forward as I was expecting. I feel like it smells almost maybe a little medicinal. What do I mean when I say that? There's maybe a little bit of bitterness to it. That's interesting. Kind of, yeah. I don't know why I say medicinal, but that's kind of just the vibe and impression it gives me. Interesting. I was kind of expecting that this might be like have a little bit of sweatiness to it itself, but I don't really get that. This is kind of clean green, and like I said, medicinal. There's something in here that really strikes me as like the medicinal in the sense of like, you know, the aftertaste after you take a pill. That. I don't know how I'm getting that in a scent, but that's kind of what I'm getting. I wonder what that is. That is so strange. It's not unpleasant, but I'll definitely need to wear this one on skin to really like get a full understanding of it, I feel like, because I feel like maybe when it's on skin and it warms up, that'll make a difference. That is very interesting. Not unpleasant, different than what I expected. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I think probably the best patchouli fragrance that I've smelled so far is either going to be a Gloaming Night, I believe, and that was from Gucci. It was one of their special fragrances that they've discontinued, to my heartbreak, because I wasn't able to get a bottle, but I have a friend who has a bottle, and it is beautiful. This is a different beast, different take on patchouli than I've smelled before, and I'm curious to get to know it more. For Psychadelique, I was absolutely right. It's a completely different story on my skin. I feel like the patchouli definitely comes through more. Again, this is one where even after a couple of wearings, I feel like I'm still getting to know it, but I do think it's way more interesting. I feel like there's like a note of petrichor in there, like there's earth. They reference some like muddy stuff in the actual description of the fragrance, and it doesn't have that as like a note that they give, but I kind of get that vibe from it. So it's really interesting, and I want to spend more time with it. Last ones, and these are the two that I'm the most interested in, partially because of the hype, but also because I really do like Louis Vuitton. I would love to own a Louis Vuitton fragrance one day. They are just so expensive, and it's really hard to justify one of those bottles because you can't get them from discounters as far as I've ever seen. And they never go on sale, so it's $550 to $650, it seems like, for a bottle. And that's really hard to justify when there are a whole lot of niche fragrances out there that you can get for a third of that price that are really excellent quality. So it makes it really hard to justify them, but I really do like the house. And I think that everything, because I've got a whole bunch of samples that I got from there, and they smell really interesting. They all smell different. I think there's something about each of them that is worth exploring. But they also all have like a unique ID. Like I'm pretty sure they're paying for captive molecules that are only used in those fragrances, because no clone I've ever smelled fully captures the vibe of a Louis Vuitton fragrance. And there's something about it when I smell them that they just smell wealthy to me. They smell like richness to me. And that might just be because randomly, if I've bumped shoulders with someone who's got money and they're wearing it, I've made that association. I don't know, but it's just the thing that when I smell them, I think This smells like someone who's got money. That's why like Stellar Times, which is my favorite Louis Vuitton fragrance that I've smelled, smells like a really rich CEO woman to me. Like it just smells like something that a really powerful, rich CEO woman would wear. I just love the smell of it. But specifically, it just smells rich. I don't know. So we're gonna start off with Pacific Chill. Very curious about this one. The couple of times that I actually went into Louis Vuitton, the actual store, the bottle was empty. They didn't have anything there to smell, so I have not smelled this one before. I am very curious though, because they've got like kind of the newer ones that they made the last few years that were fresher and I think a little bit more modern. So, oh, this one. This is nice. This is very, very tropical. Very, very fruity, very tropical, kind of in the porthole from Lumari or Ican from Kajal or Herba Pura, but this is better than Herba Pura. Man, this is a very juicy, fruity. I like it. I would wear this. I feel like a lot of guys might think that it's too fruity and too feminine for them. But I really like this a lot. I would wear this no problem. This is fun. I would much rather my wife wear this because I think this would be great on her. She doesn't like fragrances very much though, so. But this is a really fun fragrance. This is right up my alley. This totally hits like the vein for me of kind of that fun and weird, but really still quality. This is like a high quality version of something that you might get from like Bath and Body Works or Victoria's Secret to me. Like it smells like a really, really nice version of one of those fragrances, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's really nice. I like that quite a bit. Pacific Chill, I really like this one a lot. I mean, I feel like I'm a sucker for Louis Vuitton fragrances, or I'm predisposed because I like them, but I do feel like it's a brand where they are expensive. They're more expensive than they are worth. However, you are getting a quality product. It's not like they're just overcharging for garbage. I feel like they're overcharging for a quality product. One thing with both this and Imagination, like they last a really long time. And I've noticed that with other Louis Vuitton fragrances is they have a really long staying power. But this one is really, really good. Again, I don't know if I would pick it over Ican, but it is an excellent tropical fragrance. So if you're in the market for something like that, Pacific Chill, super, super nice. All right, last up is the Big Hype Beast. This is the one that I guess everyone on TikTok has bottles of, which is crazy. I don't know where these kids are getting all this money to buy Imagination, but that's what I've got here. I'm curious to see if it lives up to the hype. Let's find out. Okay. Yeah, okay. I can see why this would be appealing, especially younger, especially right now in the summertime. Super fresh, super clean, a little bit soapy, but not like crazy. And I imagine kind of in the air, the soapiness is much more of a vibe and not something you pick up when you're burying your nose in it like this. But there is enough else going on in there that it doesn't feel one note. It doesn't feel simplistic. Like, to their credit, this has complexity to it that I think is pretty intriguing. And for both of these, the price is so prohibitive to me that I can't imagine getting a bottle anytime soon unless I were to buy it secondhand or something. But even then, the price is just going to probably be hard to justify. I'll need a pretty decent amount of money, like spendable capital, in order to start getting Louis Vuitton fragrances. But I would absolutely get this. I think this is like a good summertime, spring fragrance. It's going to be hard to beat this because, again, the vibe of Louis Vuitton fragrances are there. This just smells. I don't mean the fragrance smells like especially rich or anything like that. I mean, I smell this and I can imagine it being on someone who's on a jet ski or a yacht or something like that. Like, this is like fun in the sun. You're on the water and you've got a lot of money. You're having fun in the water on a Wednesday because you've got so much money that you can do that. That's what this is like to me. Yeah, I like this. I was kind of prepared, honestly, to not be impressed, just based on what I'd heard. I was like, that seems interesting, but probably not worth Louis Vuitton prices. And to be fair, I kind of don't think it is, but I think it smells nice enough. I want to wear it. I think it smells nice enough that if I had that kind of FU money, I'd probably pick up a bottle. Or if I was like a 16-year-old living at home, getting income with nothing to spend it on, yeah, I might waste $500 on this. That's pretty interesting. I don't know if it's worth all of the hype that it's getting, but it's got to be a pretty big status symbol, I imagine, so whatever. Yeah, okay, that's good. So I think the thing with imagination is it kind of is, in some ways, it's like Manofrage, but it's way better than that. But it has a similar vibe in terms of like the salon accord, that kind of clean, not barbershoppy, not soapy, but there's something about it. I think part of that is it has some musks in it that are familiar from like laundry detergent. Again, not soap, but kind of gives that vibe of clean laundry. So this fragrance, while fresh and invigorating and clean, it also has this kind of fresh laundry vibe that I think gives you this feeling of coziness, that I get why it's appealing. And also, for something this fresh, this thing lasts a long time. Like, this is all day, and that's the case for both Pacific Chill and for Imagination. They last a really, really long time. So you could say that Louis Vuitton is overcharging, but I don't think that you can accuse them of making a product that doesn't have quality. Really good. I'm gonna wear both of those. I think the Louis Vuitton fragrances are great. I think, funny enough, the standout for all of them is actually the Bois 1920 Cannabis, and I got 5 mils of that, so I should be able to get several wearings out of it. I'm very, very impressed with it, though. I think it may also be close to the cheapest one of the fragrances that I'm taking a look at here. So that just goes to show you the prices and everything. I think the Louis Vuitton fragrances are kind of in their own class, and you're paying for something. You're paying for a couple of things in there, and whether or not that's worth the money is you have to be the judge. But with the Bois 1920 Cannabis one, I feel like this is just a very well-crafted fragrance that is doing a good job, and I love the vibe. Yeah, I really like that a lot. I really like it because it feels a little scandalous, but it doesn't feel so scandalous that you'd have to like worry about like getting pulled over by the cops or something like that. It just smells like intriguing, kind of like that Rammstein fragrance, the Angel, whatever. That one, like, it's really interesting. I think maybe that cumin note isn't actually cumin. Maybe it is, but I feel like there's an herbaceousness. I'm sorry, I'm returning back to this one, but now that I sprayed it on skin, it's almost like I've talked before about like if you have a green. Scotch broom is a good example around here because I feel like if you break open Scotch broom, it'll have like kind of this sticky resinous crap inside of it that just smells very green, bitter, not sweet. And there is kind of that there. I think there is also a little bit of cumin though, because I am getting a little bit of a sweaty vibe. But I like that. I think that's interesting. So anyway, all right, cool. Well, this is unlike the last one where I was slaying a bunch of hype beasts that I thought didn't deserve it. In general, I think these are pretty good fragrances. These are, at least I think, meeting my expectations for what I was hoping for. So that's pretty good. And again, this is not a paid thing. There's no Sprays for Days doesn't even know who I am. I'm sure never heard of the channel. So I'm not getting anything from this. I did get another sample with it. I'll probably include that in a future video because I got a sniff of that and it smelled pretty cool. Another one from Bois 1920. So, yeah. I think pretty great all around. I'm pretty happy with this, and I think I'll be going back to get some more smells. So anyway, if you have more recommendations, hit me up with them because I am super curious. Part of the reason that I got this, the Bois 1920, was because someone referenced it in my video about durian and skunk and weed, that video, and I was like, I already wanted to smell this one. It happened to be available, so I was like, sweet, I'm gonna get a sample. And I'm really happy I did, because this is good. If you've been dying to smell that Rammstein fragrance, just get a sample of this and you will have a very good idea. The Rammstein one is actually probably just a little bit cleaner, a little bit sharper, and a tiny little bit sweeter, but close enough that, like, if you get this, you will have that experience, I think, to a satisfactory level where you're actually enjoying it. But that's it for me this week. I appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you next week.